with our guest. Her name is Bonnee Gruber. And Bonnee Gruber
You messed up her name already?
I did, first time out.
Say it again. Say it again. Say it right.
Bonnie.
No. Oh, she's laughing. Okay, good. We're not in trouble.
Bonnee Gruber is here with us, and she has an interior designer, and she has a company called, Bonnee, tell us.
Taggywail.
Taggywail. And I saw a little informational piece and a little bio on Bonnee in the Phoenix Business Journal, and I was really interested because there is this story about this lady who has retired to Arizona, changed her mind, decided not to be retired but to stay in Arizona, and it's a story that we'll get into, and not only is it an intriguing story, it also probably has some humor in it as well along the way. She's nodding. And she's in this big article of the Phoenix Business Journal, and the highlight cover story and all the information in this business journal is, who are these hotties in business that are under 40? And that was a topic.
Oh, I'm way under 40.
I know, but what I'm saying is
under 60.
But the spotlight of this issue was all the under 40 crowd in Phoenix, but we've got the Queen of Diamonds with us.
Oh boy.
Bonnee, how are you? We're glad to have you.
Good morning, Pete. How are you?
We're great, thanks. Tell us a little bit about how did it all begin? You're from New York, and people will be able to tell that, I imagine.
Oh, they'll pick it up immediately.
Exactly. Now, what did you do in New York? What was your education? You were trained as an interior designer.
Absolutely, back in the 60s.
In the 60s. Mm-hmm. And that was at the Parsons
School of Design,
right?
The oldest interior design school in the United States.
Well-founded, well-regarded, great school, great institution, yeah. You got a great reputation.
Did they have anything to do with shag carpet in Harvest Gold and avocado green?
What about the refrigerators?
Okay.
I'm in my element here. Been doing interior design basically all my adult life. I would say my biggest major mistake in my adult life was thinking I was ready for retirement.
Really?
Yeah. Planned for it like most people do financially.
Right.
Not a problem there. Even if we lived to 90, we did not have a problem. But to quote an author that I just met recently, what am I going to do with the rest of my life?
There you go.
I think boomers think it's a real feather in our cap when we say we plan for retirement, we can do it at 50.
Right.
Do they realize that they can live till 90?
Or 110.
Or 110. And how much golf can you play? How much bridge can you play? You know, I guess I have a multitude of friends that cover every aspect. We have friends that are very happy doing this. And if you talk to them, they more or less hated their jobs when they were working, so maybe this is what they want. But I have just as many, for a multitude of reasons, that feel they still have to work. I was sharing with Deborah before the show. We have some really good friends that financially could retire, no problem, but they have, I think, 6 or 7 grandchildren living here. And Saturday and Sunday, from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day, they're at dance classes, they're at Little League games, they're at everything, and they're afraid if they retire, it's going to become 24/7. So they work just to have their own life. So they can say to their kids, I'm sorry, I'm working, I can't babysit.
A job or a business is self-defense.
It seems to have worked out that way.
Sanity. It's their sanity.
It is. And in my case, like I said in that article in the Business Journal, I'm married 43 years now, so back then it was about 31 years when we retired. We weren't going to make it to 32 if we had stayed retired. I would have killed him. Just staying home all the time. He might have gone off to play golf. I might have gone off to play bridge, but it was too much together time. And now we're working together, and that's fine because we each have our own slot.
Right.
But being home with no game plan, no distinct reason to wake up every single morning, don't know where I'm going each day, it wasn't for me.
We were talking before the show also about what conceivably could be your aha moment when you decided that enough was enough.
Yeah, I had one of those.
Do you want to tell us about your aha moment?
Yeah, sure. I've told lots of people. My aha moment, I was standing in the kitchen putting dishes in the dishwasher.
Right.
And like most architecture is here, it's not that way back in New York. The den or the great room is all part of the kitchen.
Right.
And my husband was sitting on the sofa, And he looks over at me. He says, "Why are you loading the dishwasher like that?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Well, that's not an effective way to load it. If you turn the dishes the other way, you would get more dishes in it." I slammed the dishwasher shut. I walked out of the house. I said, "That's it. I got to get a job."
So you found a business.
Yes.
That you and your husband purchased. Is that correct?
Yeah. I kept on talking about buying a business, and we worked with business brokers. And one day on the golf course, one of my husband's golf buddies told him about a business, a furniture business in the air park. I knew I couldn't go in at that point to be interior designer here because all my sources were back in New York, and that takes half a lifetime to build up.
Right.
I didn't know where to get a painter or an electrician or anything. So this was a furniture business. It was small. It looked like a lot of fun. My husband, Fred, could do the business end of it, which is what he's experienced at, and I could help with the furniture. And it was a business that was strictly to the trade, which means that the public can't come in, they can't buy, they have to come in with a design professional. And we kept it that way for a short while. It was mostly Southwestern furniture. I saw the writing on the wall even back then and saying this is not a style that's going to hang out for much longer here.
Right.
And so we started bringing in other things. We found a source in Mexico that would custom make the furniture that I designed, constantly getting people in off the street.
Right.
And I said, why aren't we open to the public? So we moved to a bigger showroom on the main street, stayed there for 5 years, opened to the public, became retail. And after our lease was up, I realized I was waiting for the lease to be up because retail was too much.
Right.
You know, you don't have the help all the time. It means you have to work 7 days a week. And I do have grandchildren here, and I do want to spend some time with them. So when that lease was up, we closed it down. By this point, I had gotten a great clientele in business as far as interior design. We had built that up. And so now we just have offices. You know,
okay.
Nobody can come in. You have to have an appointment for a consultation, and we just do interior design.
Well, let me just touch on what you said there in this narrative when you said something about retail got to be too much. Mm-hmm. I think part of the definition of being a boomer is the fact you can work when you want, where you want, how you want, with who you want, you know, if you want, you know. And I imagine if you're in retail, and this might be something for anybody that's considering being in retail and going into retail for a second career, you are tied to that store.
Absolutely.
I mean, those doors open and you're there, those doors are closed and you're still there.
What I didn't know is that when you buy a store in a strip mall or a shopping center, you are mandated to be open particular hours. You just can't close on Sunday or Saturday. You know, the whole slew of stores have to basically adhere to the same hours. And I can tell you, I had a lot of college kids working for me.
Sure.
And Sunday morning was supposed to open from 12 to 5. 10:30, I got a call that they don't feel good, they can't come in, and here was the day I was going to spend with my grandchildren, take them to the movies, and we had to go in.
Right.
And, you know, truthfully, they were probably just hungover. So, but I had no choice.
Interesting. You should say that hungover thing. We were with a bunch of young people this last weekend, and it was a wild scene. We'll talk about that later. But nonetheless, it seems to me that when you're making that transition, we were talking about transition earlier, as you know, with Randy Brown. When you're making that transition from retirement to not being retired anymore, in essence, I mean, there's a lot of things that have to be thought of there, isn't there? Aren't there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, finances is the one that everybody thinks of.
Right.
And I don't mean to minimalize it, but it's probably the easiest to achieve. It's black and white. You need $10 a day to live. Well, then you have to put X amount of dollars away till you live till 90 or whatever.
Right.
It's the easiest to figure out. There are so many other factors. And I really think you have to think about the type of person you are. Like I said, most of my friends from back in New York had bought a place in Florida, and they knew they were going there.
Right.
And I knew back then that wasn't for me.
Well, what's the golf course story about your hole-in-one?
Oh, God, can I tell it in 30 seconds?
I don't know, can you?
I'm going to try. I was 3 weeks shy of giving birth to my first child. I played golf since I was 8, never liked it. Got a hole-in-one, got back in the cart, went to the fourth hole, did not get out of the cart. My husband thought I was labor. I said, nope, this is it. I'm going out a winner. I will never play golf again, and I haven't.
But
and that was 40 years ago.
And so that was part of a retirement package that just wasn't going to be available to you, wasn't it?
Oh, no. Absolutely not.